stolen some of my thunder in the introduction by talking about the caravan. I'll say a little bit about that. I'll talk a little bit about what the Trade Union Group has done over the last year, and a few things are in the pipeline. There may be other things coming into the pipeline after our AGM tomorrow. I'd like to say something generally, first of all, about the Trade Union Group and the 1 Million Climate Jobs campaign. They're not synonymous. The campaign is broader than the Trade Union Group. The Trade Union Group has been the driving force behind the 1 Million Climate Jobs campaign. I do a fair bit of speaking to trade union branches, trades councils, anti-cuts campaigns about 1 million climate jobs. And I start by saying there are two key words in this. One is jobs and the other is climate. And that's my excuse to then lecture them for 10 minutes about how absolutely desperately important and urgent it is to start tackling climate change. And that's the general thing about the Trade Union Group. Yes, we're about campaigning for 1 million climate jobs. We're also about drawing trade unionists into the general fight against climate change. And that's what we're going to be doing a lot of over the next year. So, you know, getting trade unions involved in the anti-fracking campaign, getting the trade union banners on the demonstration, getting local trade union branches behind organising the local groups and the local networks. So not just the 1 Million Climate Jobs campaign. Having said that, I think most people are familiar with the report. If you're not familiar with it, there are copies on sale there. If you are familiar with it, there's a chance to stock up and to sell them to other people, because I think it's really important to bring this angle into the other demonstrations. You know, one of the arguments for fracking is that it creates so many 100,000 jobs. Well, then we come back and say, yeah, we can create 1 million new jobs by building renewables. So this is, you know, not a separate thing, it's not an adjunct, it's central to the way we strengthen our case. Okay, very quickly, going back over what we've done, John said something about the Climate Jobs Caravan already. This is a little bit more about the caravan. It was a really great success. Over 2 weeks last May, we had the 2 lead vehicles covering 3,000 miles, visiting 25 towns and cities, with public meetings organised in the evenings, events during the day, speaking to the public and so on. And I think for us there were 2 really crucial things about what happened around those 2 weeks. The first was that in helping to organise the caravan meetings, all kinds of people came together, campaign groups, local environmental campaigners, and crucially trade union branches and trades councils. And networks were set up in localities where people often not met before. It wasn't just that the trade unionists hadn't met the environmentalists, but some of the environmentalists in Birmingham, for example, had not met each other, and they'd come together. And there was a basis to start building local networks from that operation, and we must go on building on it. I think the other thing is as well, is that in the town centres talking to people, we had a little kind of activity which involved them saying why I would like a climate job, and we gave them cards saying what climate jobs were involved. And it wasn't just that people were saying I need a job because I'm a young person and there are 1 million young people out of work. In many, many cases, people were saying I'm really worried about the environment, I'm really worried about the future because of what's happening with the environment. And that was a kind of antidote to all these reports that have been coming out about, you know, interest in climate change has gone down, scepticism about climate change has gone up. That was not our experience going around the country. There is a lot of feeling about this, but that feeling doesn't express itself because people are pessimistic about being able to do something. And one of the things about the Million Climate Jobs campaign is not just through the union branches, but you know, primarily through union branches, there are things we can do. So we would ask you to push that. Now I have to finish quite quickly, I've probably talked too long already. But the Million Climate Jobs campaign does break down the barriers between environmentalists and trade unionists. That doesn't mean to say there aren't active trade unionists who are also active environmentalists. Yeah, there are those people. But generally we all know that a few years ago, trade union movement and the environmental movement seem to be going in different directions, had conflicting priorities. That is much, much less the case now than it was, partly because of the argument for 1 million climate jobs. 2 symptoms of that, I think. One is that for some years, the campaign has been supported by 4 national trade unions, and this year, the biggest union in the country came in behind the Trade Union Group, now endorsed the Trade Union Group, and are backing the 1 Million Climate Jobs campaign. So along with the 4 logos we have on this, the next publication we produce will also have the Unite logo on there, and that is tremendously important for us, I think. The other thing was our last meeting in Manchester, the Trade Union Group meeting in Manchester, involved it was a tremendous meeting because there were so many local activists, and there were active trade unionists holding trade union positions, but also active campaigners organising around fracking and so on. So that was all very positive. So those barriers between trade unionists and environmentalists are being broken down, and that is a sign of hope. Now, I do have to finish quickly, but I do want to mention one of the main things the Trade Union Group is going to be doing over the next few months. That is focusing activity around a really important national conference we have planned for June the 8th. And today we're launching the publicity. You all have leaflets in front of you. There are loads more there. Stuff will be going up on websites. But it is confronting the climate crisis, and it's about bringing together climate scientists, trade unionists and environmental activists. One of the big things about it is the morning session is climate scientists briefing the people who attend on the seriousness of the issue. We're getting it from the horse's mouth. And Kevin Anderson is the main speaker in that. And it's a fair bit of a coup, I think, to get the climate scientists to break out of their closet and to come and talk to trade unionists and come and talk to campaigners. And then in the afternoon, workshops on, how we go forward. How do we unite trade unionists and local campaigners? And an important session on changing the government's climate policy, a lot of it which will be focused around the implications of the Energy Bill, Energy Act. So we would not only urge people to come to the conference on June the 8th, we would urge people to promote it. We're going to be promoting it through the trade unions. We also need to promote it through the environmental movement. Leaflets on there, stuff on the website. Please take fistfuls away. There will be a lot more stuff coming out. The next leaflet will have a full list of speakers and carry the union logos. So please take possession of this and go out and work for it and make June the 8th a really successful and groundbreaking conference. Sorry, I'm teasing you.